Hello and welcome to the Healing Insight podcast, episode 20, with me, Sarah Hunt.
And me, Jez Hunt.
Hello and welcome to another Healing Insight podcast session. We have covered some interesting topics over recent weeks. And today we thought it would be a good idea to have a look at empowerment and feeling empowered and empowering other people. Because it's very easy to find yourself in a situation where you're trying to rescue people or you want to be saved, when actually we all need to feel empowered to take responsibility for ourselves and to actually do what it is we really want to do.
Indeed.
Okay,
I'm empowering you to continue with the... No, I'm not.
I thought you were going to come out with something really profound then. Oh dear. Yeah, so
it's an interesting topic because we are, so again, going back to some sort of basics we've talked about before in terms of beliefs and values and the things that we learn as we're children, but we learn to, or we're programmed to relinquish our self-authority, I guess, to other people. So initially as children, it's our parents. You know, we look to them for what do I do next? And it's only as we get older that we really can start to question that. But the way society is in terms of when the expectation, certainly a number of years ago, in our parents' generation, where it was the expectation was you would go and work for a company from the day you left school until the day you retired. So you had that, you were going straight from a school environment where you were told what to do by the teachers, told what to learn, told what you needed for the exam, through to being told what to do at work by your boss or series of bosses. Then people can find it very difficult to take back that power, to be empowered themselves with making their own decisions. And the only place that they can make their own decisions then is in the home, in a relationship environment. So be it adults as parents with their own children, then they can find it difficult to actually deal or cope with stuff like that because they're not used to, or they haven't been empowered or allowing themselves to be empowered with their own control of what they are actually meant to be doing. That came out a little bit jumbled, but so there is the short answer, or the short part of that is, it's only been more in recent years that we've understood about empowerment and the importance that actually we have to take control of our own destiny. We have to take control of our own life. We have to empower ourselves to make the decisions or control the circumstances around which we find ourselves, because that's what we do have control over, how we respond or react to stuff. And up to this point, or up to that point where people become aware of being empowered, allowing themselves to be empowered, or giving someone else, empowering someone else to do it themselves rather than you telling them what to do, then it's been a cultural thing that, well, you know, if it's your parents, you respect them and you listen to what they say. If it's government, you listen to them. If it's teachers, you listen to them. If it's your boss, you listen to them. So the whole societal cultural thing is to take our power away. I'm not necessarily saying it's intentional, but that's what actually happens.
Yes, because it creates beliefs, doesn't it? And fixed false beliefs, that we're not capable of doing it ourselves, that we're not capable of making a decision, we're not capable of finding out the information that we want to. You know, we've and if you look at the school system in particular at the moment, you've got to learn these certain subjects, and you've got to learn, there's a specific curriculum in it, rather than people actually saying, well, actually, you know what, I'm really interested in this area of this particular subject, so I'd like to do some research on that and really come to understand it from my own point of view. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But it's also people looking outward for approval, for what they need to be doing, or whether they're getting things right. Are they making the right decisions? Are they making the right choices? Instead of actually going inward. And this is something that's really been brought home to me recently, with the beings of pure love and pure light that I work with. And they keep saying to me, all the answers are within. All the answers are within. Go within. All the answers are within. And it's about us really learning to go into ourselves, to come to understand what it is that's stopping us from feeling empowered to deal with a certain situation, what it is that's stopping us from feeling empowered to go for that job that we'd really love to have. It's all about us going within, and also to not be giving the answers to people. And this is something that I'm now doing some work with some of my cosmic heart students, is that where before I would help them intuit information to help them to actually know what it is exactly that they need to clear energetically. Now it's like, yes, that bit's correct. That bit's correct. I think you might have gone into your head there. Drop back into your heart, check that, and see what else comes through that you need to energetically clear. And that is far better for people's self-esteem and self-worth than it is giving them the answers all the time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So my role definitely is about empowering my cosmic heart students to be the best healers that they can possibly be. It's for them to reach their potential as healers. And it doesn't matter whether you're teaching something like healing, or whether you're a manager of a group of people who are working for a company. It's about empowering people to reach their potential. And by empowering people, you're then encouraging them to take responsibility for their own decisions, for their choices, for themselves, and with that accountability as well, because accountability really is accepting that you're taking responsibility. Does that feel right to you? Yeah. So it's we need to be empowering people to be their best selves,
Yeah.
to be their most authentic self. And so many times, and when I think back to what I was like when I was younger, I was very much the people pleaser. I would say, certainly when I was, kind of in my teens, what have you, I would say what I thought people wanted to hear. And I didn't feel empowered to be my true self. Whereas now I'm much more, I'll say what I feel, and how I'm feeling, and I'm much more empowered to be the person that I really am, if that makes sense. And that's what everybody needs to be doing. We all need to be feeling empowered to be our true selves, and doing it in a loving way as well. You can't be your true self if you're not being very kind with the way that you say things, or whatever. But it's about stepping into who you truly are, so that you can be authentic, so that you are honest with yourself, so that you are loving with yourself, so that you can be the best person that you can possibly be. And when you're the best person that you can possibly be, and that's something that we're all working towards, it is a bit of what's the word I want? Thing in progress. It's a
Yeah.
work in
Work in
progress. That's
progress.
it. But if we are working towards being the best person that we can be, being our authentic self, then it's a lot easier to actually empower ourselves in all other areas of our lives.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes. There are some things I'd like to link that you've mentioned. So
Sure.
you mentioned education at school and you mentioned bosses. So education is that there's a curriculum that all children are supposed to, or certainly in the UK, I mean, well, as far as I understand, it's the same in pretty much every education system, but I'll stick with what I kind of know ish. So you are expected to learn mathematics, English, or whatever to a certain level, and there are certain things that you are supposed to learn. Not everybody excels at maths. I didn't. I
Or did I?
barely scraped my O level at maths, and that was more hard work, persistence, and last minute learning. So, funnily enough, going back to the Eisenhower Matrix Quadrant One, it was the night before, just to make sure it was still in my head when I went into the exam. So, the problem is that if the children, if as children we were allowed to say, actually, I feel comfortable with art, I'm good at art, I'm good at expressing myself, okay, let's move you down the art route, let just explore it, just see what you can come up with. I'm not saying don't have a basic understanding of maths, but yeah, maths and English in terms of communication and basic fundamentals of understanding is important. But when you start getting into trigonometry and equations and stuff like that, for the majority of people, they don't need to understand that. I've never, I've well,
I was
I
just thinking I've never used algebra since the day I left school.
so if you were to allow people to do that, what then happens is if you allow people to do the things that makes their heart sing, we've talked about being on purpose in previous episodes,
Yeah.
you will get the best out of them because they're doing what they're meant to be doing. So you're then allowing them to make decisions about the way they do it. So going back to linking, so the next link is bosses and industry and companies. So you can have managers who are, this is the way it's always been done, you will do it this way. But you can also get managers who are certainly more open minded nowadays, who are, okay, this is the result we want and this is what we expect from you. How you get there is up to you.
Yeah.
What that allows is for someone to step into their own power of, okay, I've got choices, I've got some decisions here I can make as long as I can achieve that goal. That's okay in an ideal world. That would be brilliant if everyone could work like that. Part of the problem comes in that what I said right at the beginning is because of the way that culturally we are brought up, we're not empowered to make our own decisions from the age of children onwards. It's all under, no, you're not allowed to, you're under 18, you can't make a decision about that. You're only a child, you can't. If you engage with your children from a very early age as parents and you allow them to express themselves, I'm not necessarily talking about them allowing them to do things that are going to endanger their life, obviously.
Mm.
But if you allow them to explore their things that work for them, get their engagement, get their um, what's the word I'm looking for? Creativity out. We talked about creativity in a previous thing, allowing children to be creative and to engage at their level rather than that was the plate with the bits of tissue paper stuck on it and that's a pig, Nanny.
Oh yes, that was right.
Yeah.
Yes, we talked
So
about that a while back, didn't we?
so
Mm.
we could actually say, oh wow, that's a beautiful pig. That's really, and engage with, in this case, Ramai, at that level. Or we can say, well, that doesn't look like a pig. This is what a pig looks like.
Yeah.
But that's what we tend to do. We tend to correct. We tend to, so we're disempowering the child right from the beginning, from the word go, because we're saying you're wrong.
Yes, absolutely. And there's this power thing that goes on as well, isn't it, with parents and children? I know I was guilty of it when mine was small until I kind of got more awareness. But it's I'm the adult. Who's the adult? Who's the adult? I'm the adult.
Hmm.
I know better. But actually, some of the children are very wise souls who actually have a lot to offer and to give us, and they don't need to be shut down like that. need to be, as you say, encouraged at the level that they're at to develop for themselves and to make decisions and to ask if they can do things and look at um, the things that bring them most enjoyment.
Yeah. If we taught them outcome, we taught them, okay, so that's what you want to do. Okay. So let's look at possible outcomes here. If you were to do that, what might happen? And get them to engage in the thought processes rather than blindly saying, well, that's how I think it should do. I'm going to ride this bicycle down these steps. And okay, if you want to ride your bicycle down the steps, what do you think might happen? Rather than saying, no, you can't do that because you're going to fall off and hurt yourself. I mean, the reality is, chances are they probably would. But if you get them to actually get engaged in the conversation of thinking through possible outcomes and what might happen, it gets them actually then start to analyze stuff in the right way moving forwards as they get older. So you're empowering them to make the decision. If they then choose to go down the thing and fall off the bike and hurt themselves, well, it was one of the outcomes and you chose to ignore it.
I've got a scar to prove it.
I've got a similar scar where I fell and mine was on my eye, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey ho. So it's getting people. It's allowing people to be themselves as much as possible, whether that's in a work environment, whether it's as a partner in a relationship, whether it's a child parent relationship, whether it's two friends. It's allowing us to be us as
Yeah,
much as possible.
absolutely. And not to be putting our expectations of ourselves onto other people, not projecting that out, because what I expect of myself is different to what you expect of yourself.
Yes.
And I can't put my expectations onto you because you're a different person with a different journey, and with different things that you want to achieve from what my journey is and what I want to achieve. Um, and so I can't put that on, because if I do that, that puts limitations
Yes, and if
in
we're
place,
limited,
doesn't it?
if we're being limited, then we can't be our true selves. Now, there is there is something I want to throw in the works here a little bit, because if we were all our true selves and we were all just doing what we wanted to do, then how does that work in a society? How does that work when we have to interact with other people, when we all have our own views of what we want to achieve, and yet we have to work together, we have to come together? So there has to be an understanding of compromise, there has to be an understanding of, not, well, maybe not even compromise, of working together to find a solution or to find an outcome that is beneficial to both people or both parties or all the
Yeah,
parties
but
involved.
I do feel as well, if we were in that kind of situation, and people have developed the areas that they love, that they find really stimulate them, that they're interested in, that often what you'll get is people that come together with different skills. And that, it might be someone that's a painter, someone that's a carpenter, someone that's an electrician, someone that's a really good gardener, somebody that's a cook, whatever it might be. But within a community, you could then have people with all these different skills that are offering the different skills to each other, so they complement each other. And this is how I envisage um, the world that I would like to see at some point, is that we all develop the skills that are important for us, but everybody is seen as equal, and and complements that community that they are within.
Yeah, and go back a few hundred years. The irony of this is, go back a few hundred years, in fact, not even that far, and that's what we had.
Yeah,
You know,
and we need to move back to it. I
yeah,
really feel we need to move back to it.
when we were growing up, okay, we didn't have a blacksmiths in the village. Well, actually, not that I'm aware of. We might have done,
No, I don't
but
think so.
but we had butchers, we had a greengrocer, we had a bakery, we had, you know, we've the communities were built up by a collective of people with different skills getting
Mm.
together. So the butcher would be good at butchering and produce the meat, and the baker would produce the bread, and they would share the bread, and they'd swap bread for meat, and they, that's how the community worked. It was bartering. It was, 3 loaves of bread for that chunk of pork, please. I don't know what the actual currency was, but it was that bartering of helping each other out, and you had that person was good at that, and that person was good at that, and you had a healer in the, it wasn't like in those days, each village, for want of calling it anything else, each settlement had one of everything it needed.
Yeah.
It wasn't a case of, oh, well, we don't have a healer, so you've got to go 5 villages over that way to find one. Whereas nowadays, that's all been taken away. Yes, most villages or certainly most towns have a doctor's surgery or whatever, but trying to get hold of anyone, trying to actually get an appointment nowadays, I mean, hey ho, good luck. Oh, sorry, soapbox moment. No, but it is. It's gone away from that community of doing, of helping each other, and
Yeah.
again, culturally, we've become more selfish.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important, when we're empowered to be our true selves, we're looking after ourselves first, because we need to then be able to offer support and whatever help is needed to those around us. So we did that session, first love yourself, fly.
Yeah,
Very, very important. But when we do that, then we're in a position where we can support and help other people. But that's different to telling people what to do. It's about empowering people. It's about recognizing where people's skills lie and helping them to develop those by encouraging them, by making them feel valued, by without actually telling them what to do, if that makes sense.
yeah,
It's kind of all those things that make people feel valued, that give them more self-worth, that give them more self-confidence, that make them realize that they can achieve what they want to achieve. And I think that's so important, as we move forward, that we look at that, so that we are supporting each other as we move forward. And I do feel there's going to be lots of changes coming in. Certainly, from what I understand energetically, there's some big shifts of energy going on, which are going to have a big effect on the kind of world that we live in. And it does seem a bit chaotic at the moment, but there is going to be change coming in within my lifetime. So we need to be very, very much looking at how we can empower each other as well as ourselves to do what makes our hearts sing, to get ourselves into that heart-centered space that allows life to flow, rather than to be in a head-centered space where we're in a place of resistance and fear and not actually feeling in control of what it is that is important for us and important for us to achieve, and what is our purpose as well. So it kind of all links in with the other things that we've talked about in our podcasts, but feeling empowered to be your true self, feeling empowered to be your authentic self, feeling empowered to reach your potential in whatever it is that's important for you, is really important as we move forward,
yeah.
over the coming years.
And I think something else to mention it. What right do any of us have to disempower anyone?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter who we are. There is no one more equal or less equal than me on this planet.
Absolutely. We're all equal. We all have different skills, and we all are here
Yeah,
to complement each other, aren't
yeah,
we? And
exactly.
and so it is important that we recognize that. And some people have more responsibility than others, and that's what they've chosen to do and agreed to do. But that doesn't make them any more important than anybody that's not taken on additional responsibility. And it doesn't mean that each of us can't reach our potential, because you can be doing the most mundane of jobs, but if you're doing it from the heart, you can excel yourself in that role and develop within that role just by the fact that you are in your heart and being heart led and working with your intuition and doing the job to the best of your ability.
Yeah. If anyone is in a job where they're waking up in the morning and thinking, "Oh God, I've got to go to work again today," you're not in the right job. You're not following your heart. You're not following what you should be doing. You're certainly not living to your purpose, because there are people out there that will do the job that you're doing and love it. And they're the people that should be doing the job that you're doing. And you should be going out and finding out what makes your heart sing and going and doing that as a job or as a business
Yeah.
or whatever.
Or whatever, yeah. But this again is about going inward, isn't it? And looking at what's important for me. What is it that I need to do that will make me feel empowered to go and get that job that I know I'd really love to do, to go and do that hobby that I really like to explore, to um, empower my child to feel that they can make their own decisions, to empower my child to do research so that they can critically think about things and so be informed and therefore be able to go within and go to themselves, okay, what is it that's important for me, where am I going to go with this, which decision is the right one for me, which outcome is the right one for me. So it's I just feel it's so important for us to remember about going inward to see what it is that's stopping us from feeling empowered to be our true selves. And if we can find that first of all, then we can work on that, and that then allows us to step into our authentic self, and so be able to be more heart-led, more heart-centered, and step into the flow of life, which will then allow the universe to bring in the synchronicities that are needed for us to stay in the flow and to reach our potential, not just as human beings, but as spiritual beings, as the mother, daughter, sister, colleague that each of us is.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not you, your brother,
Yeah. But,
partner, whatever, but
it wasn't an
that's kind of
exclusive
where I'm
list.
going with it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So something else to be kind of thinking about empowerment. Do you feel empowered to actually step into your true self? Do you feel that you hold yourself back, or something holds you back? Um, we can only know for ourselves by going inward and looking um, at how we feel, at how we behave, how we respond and react to things, to see whether we are empowered to be our true selves and to follow our hearts and do what is right for us, or whether we find ourselves in a situation where we're doing what we're told and not really kind of looking at expanding ourselves.
Yeah. And it comes down to choice. You
Yes,
know,
absolutely.
it doesn't
Choice.
matter whatever situation you're in, you have a choice. So if you don't feel that you're able to make your own decisions because of a boss or a partner or a whoever, you have a choice. You don't have to stay in that situation. You could change jobs, you could change partner, you could, if it's that bad, if you see what I mean. So we do have choices. However bad it gets, we
Yeah,
do
but
have a
equally,
choice.
it's recognizing um, why that situation has arisen, and going inward to understand where that's coming from. And this is very much where the energy work that I do comes in, because it's not necessarily that people need to change the job
No,
or move out of the relationship, but they need to go inward to understand why they don't feel empowered. And it might just be, and often it is, something being reflected back to them that's within them, but it might just be quite small in them. and it's being highlighted to them in a big way because that's how their soul wants them to understand it. So
Hello, you need to deal with this.
yes.
You're not listening. Let's make it bigger.
Yes, yes, and still you're not listening. Okay, we'll give it to you in a bigger way again. But it's really to get, it's so important for everybody to go inward and look at themselves, look at what it is that they need to change, they need to work on to feel empowered, to be their true selves, to take that responsibility for themselves, their decisions, their choices, and to be accountable for whatever it is that they take responsibility for.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. We're on a roll.
We do seem to be. We do seem to be.
Excellent.
Um, yeah, so I think that's probably given listeners loads to really think about, and hopefully it's kind of triggered some thoughts for you of things you might need to address to help you to feel more empowered to be your true self, to help you to feel more empowered to do what your soul wants you to do, what makes your heart sing, so that you can be truly happy. Because at the end of the day, what we're all searching for really is to feel happy, to feel at peace with ourselves, to feel loved, and to be able to be who we truly are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, on that note, we'll probably leave it there for today. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for being with me, Jay.
Thank
And
you.
it's goodbye from me.
And it's still goodbye from him.